Hey guys, today we're going to do the final tests of the trials. It's called the Footsteps of the Fremen. Here you will unlock the Fremen dead still that can give you so much water just by killing someone and bring the corpse back to the dead still. The location of the trial is just in the eastern shield wall, just down the Recoblimus. You'll find the entrance. If you find this eye right here, it means you are right. Now you just have to go inside and look for the entrance. And here's the entrance, the eye. Careful, because there will be enemies here as well. Kill them first before proceeding.
We are the people of Misr. We have known flight and death. The young go on that our people shall not die. Where did our flight begin? You have failed the proving. We are the people of... We grew soft, Wali. So God brought us the weight of kindliness to prepare for the typhoon. Name the planet where we lost our way. You have failed the proof.
Ooh.
We are the we grew soft, Wali. On our wanderings, we came to a planet devoid of gods, where war was constant and violence was religion. Have you learned its name, Wali? We remember the slave cribs where we were held, weeded out, persecuted. Do you remember too, Wali? You have failed. We grew soft, Wali. On our wanderings, we came to a planet devoid of gods. We remember the slave cribs. You have failed the...
Okay.
We grew soft on our walk. We remember the slave. The thread of the past was carried by word until we found the poison drug. One of the cursed planets was a blessing for our Sayadina. So many planets across so many centuries. Our people broke apart, split, reformed. Some planets we barely remember at all. You have failed. We grew soft, Wali. On our wandering, we remember the slave cribs where we were held. The thread of the past was carried by word. So many planets across so many centuries. You have failed. We grew soft on our wanderings. We remember the slave, the thread of the past. So many plans. A long journey, young Wally. But we are almost home. Just one last place of suffering, where our children were taken and made slaves. You have failed. We are the people. We grew soft on our wandering. We remember the thread of the past. So many planets. A long journey, young Wally. The time of Mihna has ended. Young Wally, pass within and seek your Ummah.
The path of the Zensuni Exodus is rare and hidden knowledge. You are no Masquerade cultist. Who are you? What do you seek here? What makes you say that? How astute. And your accent does the same. Born on Chusik in a wealthy village to the south, unless I miss my guess. But you've fallen on hard times. That security door is encoded for Fremen biometrics. How did you bypass it? Perhaps we can help each other. I'm a scholar of Fremen's social, cultural, and philosophical constructs, both past and present. They fascinate me. And I've studied the layout of this place. It's a death trap. Between the Masquerade trying to blow their way in and the structural damage left by the Sardaukar, the whole thing could come crashing down. And I have yours. The name's Aerie. I serve no one. Let's say I'm something of a freebooting academic. And like you, my interests lie in discovering the true extent of the Fremen eradication. Or more to the point, discovering if that eradication even occurred. South, maybe. Arrakis is a big place. And while they could be anywhere beyond the deep desert or the Tanzaruft, as it's known to the Ikhwan Bedouin. Not entirely. I'm sure the Sardaukar massacred them by the thousands. This siege bears evidence of that. But you're right. I don't believe the Imperial account. And I'm hoping the truth, or part of it, awaits us inside. If we survive. It serves the Emperor to depict the Fremen as barbarous and savage, but look at their craft. It serves the Emperor to depict the Fremen as barbarous and savage, but look at their craft. I see the work of a socially and materially advanced people. A people with the innate practicality and good sense to worship a local and very available god. That's also, conveniently, an apex megapredator. Did you encounter the Masquerade on your way here? They're some kind of cult. Worm worshippers based out of an abandoned power station far to the west. It's odd to see them this far east. But if they've found this place, they'll be coming. Down here, water discipline would finally be relaxed. Visitors could shed their dusty still suits and find refreshment. Looks like there's no other way forward. I hope you brought your cutter ray. Were through here, I believe, and likely an armory. It's probably for the best that this way is impassable. Doctrine to booby-trap the bodies of their fallen enemy. I believe the siege power plant would probably be through there, and the air filtration systems beyond that. Many of these doors also led to exterior passages where the water keepers would have maintained external dew collectors and wind traps. An extensive and lossless pipe system would deliver the gathered water to various catch basins and cisterns throughout the siege. However, all water would eventually return to the main reservoir. Strange to think these corridors once echoed with the hopes and dreams of a lost multitude. Mothers, fathers, and children beyond count. And now, only silence. The silence this rock hasn't known for 10,000 years.
Our first goal on Arrakis is grassland provinces. We will start with these mutated poverty grasses. When we have moisture locked in grasslands, we'll move on to start upland forests, then a few open bodies of water, small at first, and situated along lines of prevailing winds with wind-trap moisture precipitators spaced in the lines to recapture what the wind feels. We must create a true sirocco, a moist wind. But we will never get away from the necessity for wind traps. This ecological transformation of Arrakis relies upon us controlling 3% of the energy surface. Only 3% to start a self-sustaining system. Learn this lesson well. Our transformation begins in the plantations of the south and proceeds in simple steps. To begin, bind the dunes using grass. Secondly, create deep plantings in the shelter of the downwind face. Finally, introduce burrowing animals to aerate the soil. You will be tested on how well you have learned to recognize the language of the ecological transformation. To begin, bind the dunes using grass. Secondly, create deep plantings in the shelter of the downwind face. Finally, introduce burrowing animals to aerate the soil. You will be tested on how well you have learned to recognize the language of the ecological transformation. Remember your lessons, and the door to the future will open. To begin, bind the dunes using grass. Secondly, create deep plantings in the shelter of the downwind face. Finally, introduce burrowing animals to aerate the soil. You will be tested on how well you have learned to recognize the language of the ecological transformation. Remember your lessons, and the door to the future will open. To begin, bind the dunes using grass. Secondly, create deep plantings in the shelter of the downwind face. Finally, introduce burrowing animals to aerate the soil. You will be tested on how well you have learned to recognize the language of the ecological transformation. Remember your lessons, and the door to the future will open. To begin, bind the dunes using grass. Secondly, create deep plantings in the shelter of the downwind face. Finally, introduce burrowing animals to aerate the soil. You will be tested on how well you have learned to recognize the language of the ecological transformation. Remember your lessons, and the door to the future will open.
Very good.
To begin, bind the dunes using grass. Secondly, create deep plantings in the shelter of the downwind face. Finally, introduce burrowing animals to aerate the soil. You will be tested on how well you have learned to recognize the language of the ecological transformation. Remember your lessons, and the door to the future will open. To begin, bind the dunes using grass. Secondly, create deep plantings in the shelter of the downwind face. Finally, introduce burrowing animals to aerate the soil. You will be tested on how well you have learned to recognize the language of the ecological transformation. Remember your lessons, and the door to the future will open. To begin, bind the dunes using grass. Secondly, create deep plantings in the shelter of the downwind face. Finally, introduce burrowing animals to aerate the soil. You will be tested on how well you have learned to recognize the language of the ecological transformation. Remember your lessons, and the door to the future will open.
Congratulations. You share the knowledge of a Fremen pre-adolescent. Good work. This must be the way. That's the Masquerade. I was hoping it would take them longer to arrive in force. We'd better hurry up and be done with our business here. This must be the Cavern of Council, the cultural and political heart of any Siege community. It's here that Siege dwellers would gather to hear a traveling crier regale the community with news from beyond. And up there, upon that great standing a death still, the place all Fremen end up at death, so they may return their water to the tribe. That script upon the platform reads, "The water of the tribe shall reveal the path." And I believe the path in question is related to the secret that's brought us both here. And while you are clearly no Fremen, you were able to pass their biometric locks without tampering or delay. Whatever lies beyond here, I believe your blood is the key.
Winter weather alert. A large sandstorm is approaching.
Greetings, and Sabakukua. If you are watching this, I am likely dead or captured. I came to Siege Talab in the same condition you find it now. Abandoned and despoiled. I must have triggered some kind of hidden alarm, because the Sardaukar were at my heels before long. They found me. I haven't long. So listen well. I was brought to this planet, like you and many others, with one overriding directive: find the Fremen. But when I finally came face to face with my quarry, I did not find the villains as described by the Communanet or the Emperor. Instead, I found a noble people being drawn into a conspiracy not of their making. A conspiracy extending from the very heart of the Imperium to the dark corridors of... I have to go. They don't know where I am right now, but I can't risk them finding what I leave for you. I wish there was more time. I have much to tell you, but your mere presence in this secret chamber indicates that the ones who sent us will not stop until they achieve their aims. I have hidden the details of my journey on a mimetic film locked within the safe on the wall. As with the security door and the death still, our blood is the key. And now, I lead the Sardaukar as far from here as I may. Ma salam.
Who are you, really? This film is encrypted with a kind of protection I've only encountered in the restricted section at the Nemesine Library on Artesia. I believe that encryption was of Ixian origin. That's not good. We need an Ixian decoder to access whatever is on this, and I have access to the resources of a great house. Don't be concerned. I'll reach out when I have more information. If we Atreides are known for anything, it's our stiff-necked honor. Besides, as a mystery, you rank right up there with this film. Parting with people is a sadness. A place is only a place. The Masquerette. I'm going to try to draw them off. I'll make contact when I have the film decrypted.
Infidels! The lightning worm cannot be deceived! You will pay for your desecration in blood! After them! Do not let them escape!
Dead eyes on enemy. Take my backup. Identify yourself. Who's there?
And that's how you do the final trial of a kill. Comment down below how's the game for you. Also subscribe for more videos of the game. See you on the next one.